You say sorry more than you think. You say it when someone interrupts you. You say it before you speak. You say it when nothing wrong even happened. And here is the uncomfortable truth. This is not kindness. This is a habit that slowly teaches people to see you as less certain, less solid, less worth listening to. Every extra apology sounds small on its own, but over time it builds a silent message about you, and most people never notice it happening. There is a hidden pattern behind this behavior. It looks polite on the surface, but underneath it comes from something deeper, a need to avoid tension, a need to be accepted, a need to keep things smooth, even when it costs your own voice. The strange part is this habit often starts early. It gets rewarded. People call you nice, easy to deal with, cooperative. So the brain keeps doing it again and again, until one day it becomes automatic. Here is where things take a turn. Research in behavioral psychology shows that people who over-apologize are often perceived as less confident, even when they are skilled and capable. The words you choose shape how others rank your authority in real time. A simple sorry can lower the weight of everything that follows it. And when it happens too often, people begin to expect it from you. They start to interrupt more, dismiss more, take more space, while you take less. This video will break that cycle. You will learn why this habit forms in the first place, how it quietly affects the way people treat you, and the exact shift that allows you to stop it without becoming rude or cold. There is a difference between real accountability and automatic apology, and very few people understand where that line is. By the end, you will see your own patterns clearly, and you will have simple replacements that change how you speak instantly. There is also something most people never hear. The moment you reduce unnecessary apologies, people respond differently almost immediately. Conversations feel more balanced. Your words carry more weight. Your presence becomes harder to ignore. This shift does not require confidence to start. It creates confidence as it grows. Stay with this until the end, because the final insight changes how you see every apology you have ever given, and it will be the reason this habit finally breaks for good. Welcome to the channel. If you are ready to take control of how people see and treat you, make sure you subscribe and stay with us. It shows up in small moments that seem harmless at first. You are walking, someone bumps into you, and the word sorry comes out of your mouth before you even think. You did nothing wrong, yet you take the blame without question. Then it happens again in conversations. You start a sentence with sorry before asking something simple, as if your voice needs permission to exist. You lower your tone, you soften your words, you try to make sure nobody feels even slightly uncomfortable because of you. It feels like the right thing to do in the moment. It feels polite, controlled, safe. Then there are the quieter situations. You apologize for taking time. You apologize for speaking up. You apologize for things that do not even belong to you. The habit becomes so automatic that you stop noticing it. It slips into your language in ways that feel natural, almost invisible. People around you may not call it out, but they respond to it. They interrupt more easily. They assume you will adjust. They expect you to step back. Inside, something else is happening. You think you are being polite, but there is a subtle weight that comes with it, a feeling that you need to shrink just a little to keep things smooth, a feeling that your presence might be too much if you do not soften it. Each unnecessary apology carries a quiet message to yourself that you are slightly in the way, and over time, that feeling grows. It becomes harder to speak directly, harder to ask clearly. You begin to filter yourself before anyone else even reacts. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you took up too much space. The word sorry becomes a shield, but also a habit that keeps you small. It feels easier to say it than to risk tension, easier to step back than to stand firm. And without realizing it, you begin to disappear in situations where you should be fully present. There is a point where the meaning of that word needs to be seen clearly. Over-apologizing is not politeness, it only looks that way on the surface. Underneath, it acts as a signal that others read faster than you realize. People are constantly picking up cues about how you see yourself, and language is one of the strongest ones. When you say sorry without a real reason, it does not make you look respectful. It quietly suggests uncertainty. It hints that you are not fully standing behind your own presence. That signal can take different forms. It can reflect low confidence even when you are capable and prepared. It can show a fear of conflict, a desire to smooth everything out before anything even happens. It can also reveal a need for approval, where keeping others comfortable becomes more important than being clear and direct. None of this is spoken out loud, yet it is understood in the way people respond. The tone shifts, the dynamic changes. Without anyone pointing it out, you get placed in a position where you are expected to adjust first. The belief that constant apologizing equals kindness starts to break when you notice these reactions. True politeness does not require you to lower yourself. Respect does not grow from making yourself smaller. In fact, the more you dilute your words with unnecessary apologies, the less weight they carry. A simple statement loses strength when it is wrapped in hesitation. A clear thought becomes less convincing when it starts with doubt. Every unnecessary sorry tells people something very specific. It tells them that you think you are the problem, even in moments where you are not. It hands over responsibility that does not belong to you. It shapes how others treat your time, your voice, and your space. And once that pattern is established, it repeats itself without effort. The shift begins when you see that this habit is not about manners at all. It is about the message you send before you even finish your sentence, and how that message defines your place in every interaction. This habit does not appear out of nowhere. It usually starts much earlier, shaped by patterns that felt necessary at the time. In many cases, it connects to childhood conditioning, where being agreeable kept things calm and predictable. When a child learns that avoiding tension leads to safety or approval, the brain begins to repeat that behavior. Saying sorry becomes a quick way to reduce discomfort, to smooth reactions, to stay on the safe side of every interaction. Over time, that response moves from being a choice to something automatic. There is also the strong pull of avoiding rejection. Humans are wired to seek connection, and even small signs of disapproval can feel uncomfortable. An unnecessary apology can act like a buffer, a way to soften anything that might cause friction. It can come before a question, before a statement, even before expressing an opinion. The goal underneath it is simple: keep people on your side, keep things easy, keep any chance of conflict as low as possible. The brain treats this as a protective move, even in situations where no real threat exists. Another layer comes from the desire to keep peace at any cost. Some environments reward silence, compliance, and emotional control. In those spaces, speaking directly or holding ground can lead to tension, so the safer option becomes adjusting first. Apologizing fills that role. It helps maintain balance even when it means taking responsibility that does not belong to you. The behavior feels useful because it works in the short term. It avoids awkward moments. It reduces immediate discomfort. It keeps interactions moving without resistance. The key insight sits beneath all of this. Your brain learned this pattern as a survival tool. It helped you navigate situations where staying agreeable had clear benefits. It created a sense of control in moments where outcomes felt uncertain. But the same pattern continues long after those conditions have changed. What once protected you begins to limit you. The automatic apology that once kept things stable now shapes how others respond to you in ways that hold you back, repeating itself in conversations where it no longer serves the same purpose. At first, nothing seems wrong. Conversations move forward, people respond, and everything feels normal on the surface. But over time, a quiet shift begins to take place. The way people listen to you starts to change. They respond, but with less attention. They hear your words, but do not fully register them. It becomes subtle, almost unnoticeable in a single moment, yet consistent across many interactions. When you speak, there is less pause, less focus, less weight behind how others receive what you say. This shift builds gradually. When your sentences are often softened with unnecessary apologies, they begin to sound less certain. Even strong ideas can feel diluted when they are introduced with hesitation. People tend to follow the signals you give, and when those signals suggest doubt, they respond with less seriousness. They interrupt more easily. They move the conversation forward without fully engaging with your point. It is not always intentional, but the pattern becomes clear the more it repeats. Your words also begin to lose impact. A clear statement carries strength when it stands on its own, but repeated apologies weaken that structure. Each extra sorry reduces the clarity of what follows. It places attention on your hesitation instead of your message. Over time, this creates a habit in others where they expect less from what you say. They stop leaning in. They stop treating your input as something that needs full consideration. As this continues, you become easier to overlook in group settings. People take more space, speak longer, and move ahead without checking in. Your presence becomes quieter even when you are still speaking. The pattern reinforces itself because the more this happens, the more likely you are to soften your approach again. The cycle continues without direct awareness. There is a simple line that captures this shift clearly. When you apologize for nothing, people stop valuing you for something. That message is never spoken out loud, yet it is reflected in how often you are heard, how seriously you are taken, and how much space you are given in every interaction. A small shift begins when you start noticing the moment before the word leaves your mouth. There is a brief pause, a split second where the habit usually runs on its own. That is where the change starts. You begin to question the impulse instead of following it automatically. You look at the situation as it is rather than how it feels. And something becomes clear. Not everything is your fault. Many situations simply happen. People interrupt, plans shift, conversations move quickly. None of that requires you to take responsibility every time. As this awareness grows, the urge to apologize starts to feel different. It becomes something you can observe instead of something that controls you. You notice how often it appears in moments where no real mistake exists, a delay that was outside your control, a question that needed to be asked, a statement that deserved to be said clearly. The pattern begins to stand out, and with that clarity, your response begins to change. The automatic reaction slows down, and in that space, you choose something more accurate. There is a simple realization that supports this shift. Not everything needs an apology. Some situations need clarity. Some need patience. Some need direct communication without added softness. When you remove unnecessary apologies, your words become cleaner. They carry intention instead of hesitation. The focus moves from protecting reactions to expressing meaning. This does not create tension the way the habit suggests. It creates balance. It allows interactions to feel more equal, where responsibility stays where it belongs. A small rule helps guide this change without overthinking it. Only apologize when real harm has been done. When your actions have clearly affected someone in a negative way, an apology has value. It shows awareness and respect. But outside of that, it becomes noise that weakens your message. The more you follow this distinction, the easier it becomes to hold your space without feeling the need to shrink. The habit begins to lose its hold, and your language starts to reflect a more accurate version of what is actually happening in each moment. Once you start noticing the pattern, the next step is to change the words you use in real time. The goal is not to speak more or sound aggressive. The goal is to speak clearly without adding unnecessary weight that weakens your message. Small adjustments in language create a noticeable shift in how you come across. Instead of saying sorry for being late, you can say thanks for waiting. The situation stays the same, but the focus changes. One version places you below the moment, the other acknowledges it without lowering yourself. It feels different when you say it, and it sounds different to the person hearing it. The same shift applies in simple interactions. Instead of saying sorry to bother you, you can say quick question and then continue. There is no need to frame your presence as an interruption before you even speak. Your words move forward with purpose instead of hesitation. In moments where you might say, sorry if this sounds dumb, you can replace it with, here is what I think. That small change removes doubt from the beginning of your sentence. It allows your idea to stand on its own without being weakened before it is even heard. These changes may feel unfamiliar at first. The old habit tries to return because it is comfortable and automatic, but each time you choose a clearer phrase, you reinforce a different pattern. Your tone becomes more direct. Your sentences become shorter and more confident. The message stays the same, yet the delivery carries more weight. People respond differently because the signal you send has changed. Clarity does not require harshness. It simply removes the extra layer that makes you seem uncertain. You are still respectful, you are still aware of others, but you are no longer placing yourself in a lower position through your language. Each replacement moves you away from unnecessary apology and toward clean communication. Over time, these small shifts build a new way of speaking that feels steady, balanced, and aligned with what you actually mean to say. As your words begin to change, something deeper starts to shift beneath them. It is no longer just about replacing phrases or catching a habit. It becomes about how you see yourself in every interaction. The way you enter a conversation, the way you hold your voice, the way you allow yourself to take up space without shrinking, this is where the identity begins to adjust. Confident people do not apologize for existing. They do not soften their presence before anyone has even reacted. They move with a sense of stability that does not need constant correction. This does not mean they ignore mistakes or avoid responsibility. It means they understand the difference between being accountable and being unnecessarily apologetic. They speak when they have something to say. They stand behind their words without adding hesitation. They allow their thoughts to land fully without weakening them in advance. There is a quiet steadiness in how they communicate, and it comes from knowing they have the right to be present without asking for permission. Owning your space is not loud or forceful. It is simple and direct. It shows up in how you start a sentence, how you finish it, and how you hold eye contact or pause without rushing to fill the silence. There is no extra layer of doubt wrapped around your words. The message comes through clearly because it is delivered without apology. This shift changes how others respond, but more importantly, it changes how you experience yourself in those moments. The habit of over-apologizing fades as this identity becomes more natural. You begin to trust your place in the conversation. You stop adjusting yourself before anything even happens, and there is a clear moment where the pattern breaks. The moment you stop saying sorry for no reason, people begin to respond with more attention, more respect, and more consideration. The change feels subtle at first, yet it carries through every interaction, shaping the way your voice is heard and the way your presence is recognized. Now take a second and check in with yourself. Have you noticed this habit in your own words, in the way you speak without thinking, in the small moments where you lower your voice before it even begins? Or maybe you have already started changing it, slowly becoming more aware of what you say and how you say it? That shift matters more than it seems because every small change in your language shapes how you are seen and how you feel in your own space. If this connected with you, stay with it. Let it show up in your next conversation, in your next sentence, in that one moment where you choose clarity instead of apology. And if you want more content like this that helps you understand behavior, communication, and confidence on a deeper level, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel.